Welcome to The Pull Bag. Join us as we dig out our latest comics and discuss them with a rotating panel of the GCRN crew. So sit back and enjoy this week's Pull Bag.
Hello and welcome to The Pull Bag. This is episode 77 and this is the penultimate episode of Batman's 75th Anniversary Month Spotlight here inside The Pull Bag. I know, people. I know. I went crazy and did 13 episodes in 1 month, and everyone's probably going to stop listening to the show because of this, but hopefully not. Hopefully there are some diehard Batman fans that really enjoyed the Spotlight. But I am, of course, your host, TFG1 Mike, and not joining me this time is Steve Megatron. He was here for the Volume 1 of the New 52 Batman Court of Owls, which collected issues 1 through 7 of the Scott Snyder written series. I am joined this time from the Great White South, JT from Saskatoon.
Really?
Really? I could have made a brown rice joke.
Only you think that's funny, Mike. Only you.
Uh-huh.
It's the Great White North, thank you very much. And it's indeed white today because it's freaking snowing.
How the hell is it snowing in Canada in April?
It's Canada?
Yeah, there's a lot of things wrong with that fucking country.
Oh, because there's so many things right with the states.
Well, no, I mean, look at who our president is, but yeah.
Enough about the political. Let's talk about comics books, shall we?
Yeah. All right, so you previously heard JT on the Beware the Batman chapters 5 through 12, and he is back now with me to discuss the second part of the Court of Owls storyline, Volume 2 for New 52 Batman, entitled City of Owls. Briefly, very briefly if you can, what were your initial opinions of the storyline and of the first 6 issues?
I like the idea that there's this secret society cult that Batman, for being the smartest mother in the DC universe, had no clue it was there. So I was really intrigued by the concept and the idea that they've got these like zombified assassins that do their dirty work. I mean, there's a lot of stuff. It's one of the few things that came out of the New 52 thus far that don't make me want to claw my eyes out. It's a lot of little things like you got like Lincoln March, who becomes kind of like this de facto buddy of Bruce Wayne's, and even Batman's like, that guy's a good egg. And then you got stuff like where Batman's so badass that he can punch somebody and knock a single tooth out on purpose, which is what he does to Nightwing. And then, that kind of opens the floodgates and you start learning more about the court and everything. Actually, one of the cool things that come out of the story thus far is they have a spin-off title called Talon about a guy who was supposed to become one of these assassins, and he escapes and fights against the court's, machinations and such like that. So far, I've really enjoyed the story. And the part of what we're going to discuss today actually harkens back to elements of the pre-Crisis on Infinite Earths DC, which I'll discuss towards the end of the show. But I'm looking forward to what we're going into today.
Yeah, I don't know. I find it interesting that Batman would be, and I said this last time around when Steve and I talked about part 1, I find it interesting how the twists happen with him, because at first he didn't believe, and then he witnessed it and realized it and became a party to it, and he then, oh my god, this, how did this, fly under my bat radar for so long? No shark repellent can save me from this. Or owl spray, whatever you want to use.
It would have been that owl repellent bat spray.
There you go. All right, so the copy that's written on the back of the trade here: for over a century, the Court of Owls has ruled Gotham City in secret. Their reach Inescapable, their power unstoppable until they battled the Batman. Gotham's vigilante protector managed to escape the claws of the court with his mind and body barely intact. The Dark Knight managed to win the battle with his deadly new aggressors, but certainly not the war. Batman was just the first part of the court's conquest. Now they have their sights set on something much bigger: Gotham City. These villains will threaten all Batman holds dear: his secret identity, his home, his headquarters, his beliefs about both his friends and his enemies. With the court's deadly foot soldiers, the Talons, out to destroy him, the Dark Knight and his allies must wage an all-out war for survival against the most dangerous predators he has ever encountered. Dun dun dun.
What a twist!
Yeah.
Well, that's one of the best things about this story is, like I said, the fact that there's this secret society that's ruled Gotham, and how has he not come across something like this before? I mean, they mentioned I think they mentioned in the first part how he tried to find the court as a kid.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and
all
they
that.
mentioned it in here too.
Yeah,
yeah, they mentioned it in this one too.
And it's just, he just put it to his mind, and then just by and large, he went on in his life unimpeded by the court, or did he?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. All right, so we open the trade and we get a really, really cool image of Batman being struck by lightning. And then, of course, we get the cover here, and it's basically Batman versus the Talon, who will be revealed later. Batman Volume 2, The Sea of Owls, written by Scott Snyder, James Tynion IV, also co-writer, Greg Capullo, Jonathan Glapion are on art, as well as Raphael Albuquerque, Jason Fabuk, Becky Cloonan, Andy Clark, and others. Let's see. Batman, obviously, created by Bob Kane. I honestly wish they would change that. I really do.
At this point, unless there's like enough members of Bill Finger's family to go through like the Jack Kirby BS that went through with Marvel.
I know. I'm just saying, I wish out of respect for the guy, they would change it, regardless of the legalities of it all. So, in the trade, we have a previously on page with the Batmobile at the top, and that's pretty cool, because if you didn't go back and pick up the first volume, I like how if someone's just going to pick this one up, they can just immediately, hey, this is what's happened, this is what you've missed, kind of go back and if you want to, read it, but you don't absolutely have to.
And I should mention, I'm working off of, I have all these individual issues myself, and most of them, I got the combo pack, so I'm working with the digital copies, which... I spoke about this in the Beware the Batman. Marvel and DC have really stepped up their game with the digital comic books, not even specifically like Beware the Batman and all that, like where it's the landscape style. And it's like Marvel, every issue of Marvel, it doesn't have to be the combo pack edition. You get like the digital download code, which is something that really helped me with this.
Well, see, here's the thing with DC. I'm not going to sit there and spend an extra $1 to get a combo pack when they could just do what Marvel's doing and put the damn digital code in one of their many advertisements in a single issue. And Marvel's codes, they're only good for a certain amount of time, so it's not like you're giving someone a free comic forever. You have to, in order to get the digital side of the Marvel stuff, you have to get it before a certain date. I don't understand why DC won't do that instead of just charging everyone $1 more for a damn combo. That just, DC jackasses.
No, tell us how you really feel, Mike.
Yeah. So issue 8 is Attack on Wayne Manor. It also features the story The Call. Now, that's one thing I do like about the trades, how, like, in the single issues, I could give a crap less about the backup story. Once the main story ends and it says next on Batman or next or whatever it's going to say, that's it, I'm done. I really do dislike Channel 52. That's just dumb.
I don't
in a
disagree at all in that
in
statement.
in a more recent issue, I think they had what's his name from the only place know. They had Ambush Bug giving the goddamn news on Channel 52 in one of the more recent issues of a DC comic that I read, and I'm like, oh my god, seriously, stop.
Yeah, because I mean, originally it was I forget who the blonde was. I don't think it was Vicky Vale or something. They had the female news
No,
reporter. They had
yeah, it might have been Summer Gleason or
something like
I
that.
forget.
I mean,
Yeah.
they had the news chick. They had this dude Vartox, who's some alien Superman that came out in the 80s. There's Ambush Bug and Calendar Man, and then they during the like Forever Evil crossover, whenever New 52 is like Calendar Man's gone missing, and then Vartox. They tried to make some sort of a story appear in the installments. The thing is, it doesn't add. It's a glorified advertisement for what's going on in DC, but it's just dumb. And about the only time I really appreciated Channel 52 was there's two times. One, it's the local news channel on Arrow, because anytime
Mm-hmm.
the news reporter show, it's like Channel 52. Yes, we get it. Also, Officer Lance's call sign when he calls in on the police, it's DC 52 for when he
Mm-hmm.
calls in. I thought that was cool. But in the Earth 2 comic, which is ostensibly the new 52 version of the Justice Society,
Mm-hmm.
they've got different characters doing it there, and it's more of like this underground thing because currently the forces of Apocalypse, led by Superman, have invaded,
Oh, jeez.
and it's very much like the end of the Superman TAS where he comes in and he's like for Darkseid and such like that. But yeah, overall though, they're just Channel 52. It's just they had 2 pages they had to fill, and they
Yeah.
weren't taking bids from like potato chip companies or a soft drink or something to put an ad there.
And see, that's my biggest. Okay, that's, and I know I'm not trying to turn this episode into a after dark with complaints about ads, but that's my biggest complaint. The Channel 52 2 pages could be 2 additional pages of story. I understand that puts more work on Snyder and Capello, but still, it could have been 2 additional pages of story. But anyway,
Or crazy
uh,
thought, a letters page. I mean,
mm,
Marvel's been
yeah,
doing it, Image has been doing it. It's not,
IDW's doing it
yeah,
still,
like,
so yeah.
what's the matter, DC? You're not cool enough to play with the other kids?
Yeah, I don't think DC wants to hear from their fans, especially with this whole Nightwing is going to be a Soviet soldier crap.
Well, no,
Oh
he's the secret
god.
agent for United Nations. You,
Anyway, no, well, Future's End #1. I
well,
read you that
yeah,
solicit
but
last time, but anyway,
alternate reality.
yeah. Oh god, that's even worse of saying. Anyway, all right. So Night of Owls, 7:01 p.m. Now, Snyder, I like his writing. I love this story for Court of Owls, but obviously in this story he's taking cues from Year One, because that's exactly what Year One did in a sort of way. Year One was this date at this time, or this date on this year, so I can kind of see the Year One influence, and that's all well and good. I'm not going to take a point off my score for the story just because he uses something that was used before. But we start off with, I've always believed the best way to know the city is to stay close to the ground, to feel the cracks in the sidewalk under your shoes. The strange bright silence of the park under snow, and on and on and on. So I love the art here, the first 2 pages of how Batman's basically taking us on a tour of Gotham City. I think that's awesome. I really do.
And then you see that Bruce Wayne has gone almost full Howard Hughes with a scale model of the city in
Hmm.
Wayne Manor. And I like that how it's all of a sudden Alfred turns on the holograms and he's like, turn it off, turn it off, turn it off.
All I thought of was several. I forget which actual cartoon it was, but there are several classic might be Tex Avery tunes or several Golden Age animation cartoons where there'll be somebody that turns on a light. Turn out that light.
Yeah,
You know,
that's kind of
that's
the
what I.
thing. And
That's
Alfred's
what I
just
thought of it.
trying to help Bruce with his injuries from what's happened previously with fighting the court and all that.
Mhm.
And at this point, he's getting into that headspace that a lot of heroes get into when they get blindsided by a new enemy. Is well, I never really knew Gotham City. It was never really my city.
Yeah, he's basically doing some self-loathing.
Well, I wouldn't say self-loathing, but he's feeling sorry for himself. He's pulling a Peter Parker basically. But and Alfred.
So wait,
Well,
one second before you keep going here. You're now trying to tell me that Bruce Wayne and Peter Parker and Dick Grayson are all the same guy. Wow.
not that at all, Mike. You know, just let me explain. Just saying, throughout the many, many years of Spider-Man comics, there have been many, many times where Peter Parker has been sitting there and moping. I mean, he's brooding. That's exactly what Batman's doing here. It's just Batman's feeling sorry for himself because he thought he had it all on track. He is the goddamn Batman. He's protecting his city. He's trying to rebuild his city. And then the carpet vis-a-vis has basically been pulled out from under him. So he's Bat Mope right now. And, we got Alfred, he's trying to help Bruce, get back to himself and all that.
Oh God, you said Bat Mope, and all as I can think of, I don't know if you've read it, but more recently, this month was the new season 2 start for the Transformers comics in IDW, and they launched this 4-issue miniseries called Windblade.
Yeah.
And in Windblade issue number 1, somebody calls Ironhide Mopey, and all as I can think of is, thanks for noticing me. It's just a dumb old tale. I don't. And now I'm envisioning Batman as Eeyore as well. Oh my God.
Well, technically Optimus Prime is Eeyore, or was. So.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
Because Peter was also Ironhide in G1 too. So, Ironhide is Mopey, so Eeyore is Mopey, all that stuff. But anyway, continue.
So I mean, it's just that, Bruce is. I mean, it's like anybody. It's like when Rocky got beat by Clubber Lang in Rocky 3. It's just, he's hasn't quite caught the eye of the tiger yet. Again. And then he hears this bump and you realize somebody's trying to break into the mansion. It turns out to be not one, not two, but, well, I don't know exactly what a flock of owls would be called. I know almost a murder. It's like a murder of crows because they mean to do some damage because there's a whole horde of assassins coming after Batman. And I do like as he's fighting the first one in Wayne Manor, and it's I love this Talon. He's like they can talk. They're not just like brains kind of zombie, but this Talon's fighting Batman. And he's like, "Oh, it seems you've got some moves, Mr. Wayne. Well, so do I." And I love the bird because, first of all, he's basically fighting a James Bond villain because the Talon pops a blade out of the toes of his boot. And then Bruce burns him. He's like, "Oh, maybe so, but yours went out of style 200 years ago with a boot to the face." And then he looks through the door, and it's like like you said before, like an old Tex Avery cartoon of sorts. Mm-hmm. You get the eyes in the dark of like all these other Talons coming after him, and you see Alfred's already skedaddled down to the cave, and they're trying to track him. And he's like, "Sir, get in here! You can't take them all. You need help." And while Bruce is dealing with a bunch of Talons, Alfred has one, and as capable as Alfred Pennyworth is, Alfred going to get a whooping. I'm just saying, because Alfred can fight, but I don't think he's that good. And you see as Alfred has to deal with the one Talon, Bruce has now gone up on the roof of the manor, and he's beaten one Talon with a weather vane, and basically The hell? I didn't see that before. Okay. I missed that where he got, when the first time I read this, where he had a converted bolt hole hidden in a chimney, which, takes him down to the cave. And I think one of the first things about this first issue is at least what I enjoyed about this first part of the story was seeing Bruce fight out of costume.
Oh yeah, I've always liked when Bruce fights out of costume. I mean, don't get me wrong. He is the goddamn Batman. He is supposed to fight in his costume. But if you put him in a situation where any of his villains, not just the Court of Owls, not just the Joker, not just Two-Face, Carmine Falcone or whoever, if you put him in a situation where they know his secret, then other than being really cool to see the costume, what's the point? If they already know he's friggin' Batman, let him fight out of costume for a while, and that is absolutely amazing.
Oh, yeah. And the other thing that I love about the New 52 Batman, specifically the Batcave, is they have kept two of the most classic touches, which is the giant goddamn penny and the T-Rex. And I think there's a Joker card in there somewhere too. So
yeah, there is.
I think in any version of Batman in the comics, there are three things you need to have on the walls. Because Batman does love his bric-a-brac. And you got to have the giant penny, you got to have the giant playing card, and you got to have, the GD T-Rex, which specifically comes into play later on, as we'll see.
Oh yeah,
but I like
Fido.
Yeah.
At least he didn't call him Ace.
I know he says correct, but I love where he's trapped the Talon under the penny. He breaks it. You're breaking my arm, and Batman's basically like, I know. And I love that.
I have to go back because I'm not sure if you've reached this point yet. I think you did, but we got to talk about this bat suit.
Oh, like the one that he's the armored bat suit that he gets in.
Get the hell out of my house!
Oh yeah. Oh, I like that. They bust the move into the armory, which is basically like a hardened bunker in the cave, and they're gonna one of the core things that I think they figured out previously about the Talons is they're basically lizards. Like the compound that the Court has devised, which is basically a combination zombie serum plus regenerative serum, is once you're injected with this stuff, you come back from the dead and you heal, but you're not really human anymore, but you're also cold-blooded. So Batman basically kicks on the AC, and he's gonna
the Sub-Zero AC.
Yeah, he basically is like, geez, Mr. Freeze was onto something with this. Yeah, so they're gonna drop it to below zero in the cave, and then he puts on one of the most badass bat suits you've ever seen. I mean, this is basically a Batbot suit. Because I love how they have the slow open of the armory, and then you just see 8 feet tall, 9 feet wide brick shithouse walk out.
Yeah.
And even with I love how the vent on his face looks like a grin.
Oh God!
He's basically the size of the Thing.
Yeah. The line of well, you do know the line, but the line in Iron Man. Why don't you throw a little Hot Rod Red in there? Oh, because that'll make it even. But that'll make it even better. All I can think of is Batman threw a little Joker into his own damn suit with the grin that you pointed out. The grin.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God. I gotta say though, in any media of Batman, I like the classic suit, and I don't mean the I like the Adam West suit. I do. I like the blue and gray in certain aspects, but after New Adventures, I really dug the black and gray, and I loved what they did with him in Justice League, with kind of combining black, blue, and gray for the Justice League suit. But I love seeing all the different variations on a bat suit, regardless of what it is, unless it's blue and gray. They just released Batman Beyond 2.0 Chapter 19 a little while ago. Shouldn't say they just released it, it was a while ago. but they did a Lord Batman Beyond suit in that, and it looks sick.
Oh yeah,
It looks amazing. So anytime I can see a variation on the bat suit that really grabs me, is basically my point here. I absolutely love it.
oh yeah. And I like in the second part of the story, we go from Greg Capullo's art to Raphael. Should have taken that
Albuquerque.
the left turn at Albuquerque. And I love how I think between the two, like I like Capullo's art. Don't get me wrong. I read Spawn for years. The one Image comic that he came on, he was the second artist on this Image comic called Haunt, about a guy who's possessed by his brother's ghost and develops ghost superpowers. So I like Capullo's design, but I think Albuquerque's design is the superior one because it's got this very steampunk, you know, it's got the rivets. It just looks like this solid mass of metal. It just looks like Batman's gonna bring the hurt with this thing, and it's he's standing there all not saying a thing, and the Talons are all like, "Ooh, look, Bruce came out to play." You know what owls do to bats, don't you, Bruce? Is like we eat them, and Batman's like, not in this cave, you don't.
Yeah. I mean, I'm loving, like, this is the most excited, outside of Batman Eternal, this is the most excited I've been for the New 52 Batman, honestly, is this story. Everything about this story is something that I have not realized or not known about in Batman before.
Yeah.
And it really brought me in. It really, really did.
Yeah. I do like the oh dang look on Alfred's face because Batman, when he broke the Talon's arm, he found a micro drive that Alfred decoded, and it's basically he's found the hit list for like 90% of the city officials in town are going to get taken out by Talons. So that's if you get like the other trades, like Catwoman and Nightwing and Batgirl and all that, they all had their one or two issues that dealt with one of the Talons. I mean, and I think it was I haven't kept on Batgirl or Birds of Prey, but I remember reading that I think it's the Talon that Batgirl fights ends up joining the Birds of Prey.
Yeah, Strix. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, there's some stuff to come out of this, but yeah, you see Alfred's just like, oh shit, and he tells Batman. We get the kind of 3 or 4 page sequence of people being attacked by the Talons, which is in an effort for, I guess, the court to kind of solidify their control if they didn't already have control. Because I love how they got the one guy who's like the speaker of the city council. He draws on the Talon. He like fires off like 2 or 3 times, and well, bullets ain't nothing but a thing to the Talons, and the guy's just like, oh crap. So Alfred puts the word out, and we get the cameo shot of the Birds of Prey, Red Robin.
Oh my god, I love that so much. I really do.
Yeah, and it's not so much that it's like it's the way that Albuquerque rendered the traditional group shot like this. It's not like straight lines. It's almost like a fractured fairy tale sort of thing.
Well, no,
or shattered glass. That's what want to say.
Well, yeah, shattered glass. But if you look at it from afar, it's almost like Alfred is the head of the bat, and the rest of the Bat family images are its wings.
Yeah, no, I like that. And the other thing that I wanted to just say, I kind of the one idea I like about the Red Robin, how Tim Drake was always his own character in the New 52. Yes, I said something positive about the New 52. Don't let it. Don't worry, people. I got lots to bitch about yet.
Ladies and gentlemen, JT has just said something positive about the New 52.
Oh.
You may all pass out from just a complete and utter disbelief.
Yeah, no, I know I've said stuff before. It's just I'm actively acknowledging at this point, but yeah, Alfred just basically gives the lowdown. The court's going after all these people. You have to deal with this Batman stuck in the cave, and Alfred's going to keep the line open as much as he can, and then you hear the banging, and the court is starting to break through like this 3-ton armored door to the armory. So like they're going after Alfred, they're going after Batman, and Batman's like says, "Come on!" He's ready to let's do this. And I mean, really, when you think about this entire issue, like Batman, just issue 9, is Batman's walked out of the cave. He hasn't thrown a single punch. The entire issue basically happens over the course of like 10 minutes. From Batman going out and kind of facing the Talons somewhat, but nobody really throws a punch. They're just standing there posturing, and then Alfred cracks the drive and he broadcasts this to the Bat family. But really, when you look at it, it really happens over the course of like 10 minutes, which is something I thought was really cool. That instead of like the entire 20 some pages of a comic book where so much can happen, it's really just shows you look at the art and everything, it just shows you what happens in such a short amount of time, but they make it extremely, it's also very important. It's not just like blink and you miss it.
Oh yeah, no. And that's the beautiful thing about this.
Or the end of issue 8, sorry, I was
yeah.
But that bit.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And the Alfred at the end of it, God help us all.
Yeah.
Now, the next one is Night of Owls by Snyder, Capello, Glapion, covers by Capello, and is it Foucault? Placenta? Placenia? I don't know. Whatever. The other cover artist.
Yeah.
The cover is the Talon with talons in his eyes, and it's basically Wayne Manor in red. Absolutely love that.
Yeah, it's striking, and it's just very minimal. Like it's not that there isn't detail, but it's just there's not a lot going on. It's just that silhouetted look of Batman with the reflection of the talons in the visor. And
oh yeah, it's Batman. Whoops, I thought it was a Talon with talons in the visor, but no, you're right. It is Batman.
And then you got Wayne Manor in blood, basically, which kind of reminds me of like the cover to Superman. Was it 75 with the bleeding F shield? And then you got I don't recognize the artist on there's like a standard Batman cover. It's Batman swooping at you from somewhere on high. Decent art. I dig it.
I love the see in the trade how they do the covers is I'll talk about this once we wrap up the story
it's at
review
the end
here.
of the trade.
It's at the end of the trade, but the cover for this story for Night of Owls here is the red, the black and red, and then the reverse of it is a black and white version of that same cover, and it's amazing.
Oh yeah,
it's absolutely amazing. Capello does some amazing covers.
With the combo pack, like I specifically got the combo packs for these initially just because I was like, "Ooh, digital comics!" So and I just get the regular copies now. But the combo pack cover I got it's a white version of that silhouette, the bat helmet and the reflection in Wayne Manor, and with there's like a splatter background. It's like red with this black splatter, like. It's supposed to be like blood, and it just looks really kind of intense. But I mean, from there we get into what do you call it? A Donnybrook, a slobber knocker.
Yeah,
you can hear King and JR just, oh my God, he punched him in the face. Because basically, with this Bat Iron Man suit that he's wearing, he's got like these, I guess, heated. On his gauntlets, he's got like these 2 massive spikes on the back of it. So, these are going to do some damage. And you see it where Batman just punches some dude right in the friggin' face with these things. And it's on.
And Alfred can't drop the temperature fast enough for Bruce.
Yeah, and I'm not calling Alfred a pussy. I'm not. but he's acting kind of like a pussy here. He's like, Master Bruce, get back in the vault. The doors will hold. And Batman's like, no, I'm going to whoop their ass. Because obviously Bruce Wayne, if anything, has a lot of pent-up aggression. And just this once, he doesn't have to hold back.
I think this would be a good pullback after dark for this, what I'm about to say here, but would you ever get I'm not saying I'm not trying to speak to your character, sir, but if and when you ever have children, would you ever hand them a New 52 Batman story, or would you ever hand them a Frank Miller Batman story, or would you go more the route of Green Lantern the animated series, kids comics, or Beware the Bat? Because my point here is that, well, I understand that cursing offends some people. Majority of people, that at least people that I know, don't really care. And I like this line, but there are times in comics that I don't like when they bleep stuff out. Where Bruce says, or where Batman says, I said, come on, you undead sons of... I get it. Don't get me wrong. He doesn't want to curse. I get that. But what I really dislike in comics is when they basically bleep or, use...
Or they obscure what somebody's saying.
Because for me as a reader, it takes away from the line. So... do you think that DC is... I mean, there's a lot of scary shit that happens in this Batman book. Not just this one we're talking about, but this series. There's a lot of scary shit. So do you think that they need to just cater to the adults with the main titles and let, the kids have their own, Scribblenauts or whatever the hell else? I don't know. Because I would rather not see... expletive deleted this, expletive deleted that.
I think something like this, I would almost call it clever in a way. That I mean, he could have said, "You undead son of a gun." I'm not saying he was going to say that, but if you know what he's going to say, so it's kind of like that episode of that '70s show where Red, Eric, and Kitty go to bring Hyde to live with them, and Red's like, get your effing bag and get in the effing car right effing now, and it's all bleeped out and you know what he's saying. So it depends on what's being said, but I mean, something in this particular instance, I thought this was actually kind of clever, that it's like,
oh no, this instance,
but overall it's up to the writer. It doesn't really offend me in any way. Yeah. But I mean, by and large, I mean, in addition to all the scary stuff, there isn't a whole lot of noticeable cursing in Batman comics.
Well, right, and I'm not saying it needs to be a knockdown curse fest. And in this particular instance, with him just stopping and not saying it, that's fine. What I'm asking is, do you think when instead of just the stop and say, when they actually put $, and exclamation, when they use the onomatopoeia to do it, to express the fact that someone cursed, do you think it should stay that way, or do you think they just say fuck it and just use the damn curse word?
I don't think it's really for me to say. I mean, if they use the onomatopoeia, I mean, that's great, or if they obscure it like they did here, but it's just, I can't honestly say, Mike. I'm gonna plead the fifth and abstain. So
Bruce's vital signs are dangerously low. He's going to black out. Alfred is going to stop being a pussy, as JT called him earlier, and he's going to come out and help Bruce. And
Batman's like, no, and he's getting piled on by the Talons, and they're like, go ahead, try whatever you like, because they're talking about trying to stop him. And it's like, hell, get a guard dog. And Batman's like, actually, I already have one. Yeah, that it's just like, boot to the face, dinosaur style, because Fido brings his left foot down in like 4 or 5 Talons at a time, and he's like, good boy.
Yeah.
And I do,
and I love this part of the story where it basically says, My ancestors, they used owls to kill the bats. Owls everywhere, but I forgot. The thing I forgot is, as soon as the owls left, the bats, they came back.
Oh yeah, and it's just
It's just like Batman Begins. Was
oh
it Begins that he
well,
used? Yeah.
Begins and Year One. It's just this massive.
Yeah.
Just the bats are like, not in our house, mofo.
Now,
My,
does your singles have like okay, after that page where the page where it shows Fido, this has actually happened to me twice. There's a black page after it. Like when I turn the page from where Fido is and where Bruce says the bats they came back, the very next page is black in the trade.
no,
Just all weird.
but yeah. So apparently at this point, the bats come back. They swarm the Talons, and it's just enough to hold them. As you see, the AC's finally kicking in enough to bring them down.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's the one. I love the fact that the one almost gets away, and then Batman just straight runs him over. Because and of course Batman had like some coolant. I think it was like in a dart form or something. Because he tells Alfred to use the coolant I prepared for Cobb, who was like this talent that he had been basically experimenting on.
Yeah,
like,
Cobb.
he was strapped
Cobb
to a
is-
gurney in the early part in one
Of
part
s-
of issue 8, which
Yeah.
I should mention. I thought they skipped to the next issue, but the issue 8 was the art duties were split between Capullo and Albuquerque, so my bad.
Yeah. Cobb is Grayson's great grandfather.
Yeah, which is what the twist.
Yeah, yeah.
And then when you get into the Nightwing side of the Court of Owls and how the Haley Circus was basically a recruitment front for the court and all that.
Mm-hmm.
So you see Batman's going out, and this Batmobile, I gotta say, it's okay.
I like it. I dig it. I think it's cool.
And we get, as Batman's crossing this bridge, we see like the other members of the Bat family, they go to, they're fighting other Talons, and Batman's gone to rescue Lincoln March, who's like this mayoral candidate.
Mm-hmm.
And I love the, it's not what it appears to be at all.
Mm-hmm.
It's, he opens the door, Mr. March, and he's like, you, Bruce Wayne, and he pulls the trigger, and I mean, that would have been like the best way to end this issue on one hell of a cliffhanger. And it turns out that March was firing at this Talon that was behind the door, and he's already been impaled with a Court of Owls knife.
Yeah, but he'll survive.
Well, or will he?
Well, he does. Well, not at the very end,
But-
but for now he will survive.
Yeah. So he passes off a vital clue to Batman, and he does like the heroic death sort of speechifying, and Batman's
Remind him that a better Gotham is just one dream away.
yeah.
And then Alfred calls in, Master Bruce, the Talons have been contained. I have news on the other assassination attempts as well. I know where they live, Alfred, but sir, they came to my house, now I'm going to burn theirs to the ground.
And it's like, oh shit, it just got
love-
real.
I love that bottom panel where he says that, where it's basically him and the name of the city underneath his chin.
Yeah.
I absolutely love that.
Well, he's looking at that
God.
the framed shot of Gotham like that. Yeah, no, that was
Yep.
great.
And that's how it ends right there for that issue, because the next story is Assault on the Court.
Now, does your trade have the backup story with Alfred's father?
That's at the very end.
Okay.
I think, isn't that the annual?
No, it's in issue 9. There's part of it's a story entailing. Well, we can talk about it briefly later on. It's just saying
Oh wait, I think that might be in volume 1.
where
I could have sworn where he's writing to where his father is writing to him
And-
for him to have a better life, and I think that might be in the actual volume 1.
Okay.
I think. I'd
Well,
have to look.
just to go over it quickly, I'll just sum it up quick. It's a
Okay.
short story that's a backup in the next couple issues of Batman called "The Fall of the House of Wayne," where I forget what Alfred's dad's name is, and just gonna look quickly here. Well, anyway, Alfred's dad, we'll just call him that. He used to be the butler for the Waynes. It's at a time where it's before Bruce's parents die. And basically he finds out about the court, and it's told in kind of a Pulp Fiction style flashbacks where Alfred's dad tries to escape, and he's written this letter, and it's part of the narration where he's warning Alfred, like, don't come to Gotham, and the whole time he's being hunted down by one of the Talons, and ultimately he loses his life. And it's kind of resolved, and it does come back to it in the final issue of the story, which I'll bring it back up there just to cap it off. So, but we move on to, issue 10, or the next part of the story in Mike's trade. And I dig the cover where you see Batman, full costume. He's got the owl mask in one hand. He's got, like, the silhouette of, like,
The
angel,
owl in the background.
Yeah, owl wing background. Just looks kind of badass and intense.
That's the cover for the trade.
Yeah. And they got one, I think it's Albuquerque's art, where it's the silhouette of Batman, like you see his face and all that, but over his body you see like part of the bat signal, and there's some blood in the ground and shattered owl masks, and Batman looking like he gonna hurt somebody.
Oh yeah.
So when we get back into the story, it's they never named the building, but it's basically like this old money, super rich residential sort of a building where they discuss, like, there's a wooden gymnasium. They've got a Zeppelin more on the top of the building, because rich people dig Zeppelins. And you see that it's a court controlled building, because this lady's getting off the elevator. It's got the symbol of the owl on the doors, and she walks in and she sees her place is trash. She backs in, and she closes the gate, because it's one of those old school with the almost cell door like, with the metal gates and all that. And
Yep.
Batman stops her, and he's like, "Going down."
Yeah, that's awesome.
And just right away she gets this attitude, because it's the rich, entitled villain. And
It's pretty much, she's holding her pinky up and drinking from her teacup.
yeah, she's like, "You can't do anything to me. We control the city." And Batman's just like, "I'm taking y'all down. Y'all can't do nothing about it. Peace. I'm out." And I do like how after she tries to, like, puff up her chest in front of Batman, and she walks away, or he walks away, and she's behind bars basically. And I love that line. He's like, "I'd get used to that view." And I just love that. And you see him doing, like, does, like, it's like playing Arkham City, where he dives right off the top of this building and then spreads the cape out and sails away into the night, and gets an update from Alfred that they can't crack the Court of Owls communications, like their cell phones and that, but they can trace them. And the Talons, apparently he's got a cryo vault in the Batcave, because, well, why not? It's Batman.
Yeah.
And I just love the sequences, like Alfred's telling him, like, what's going down, and Batman just is that one step ahead of him.
Well, he is, because this goes back to him searching for the court as a child.
Well, yeah, where he ends up.
It was where it's always been.
Yeah.
So,
but I mean, I love the narration, and for me, this is page 10, where he talks about Henri Ducard, who is Liam Neeson's role in Batman Begins. And at varying points, he's been a part of Batman's life as like one of the guys that trained him as Batman. But I love how he describes the process by which where all the pieces fall into place when you're figuring out a mystery.
Oh yeah.
And, and it goes back to this old abandoned building where Bruce went searching for the court when he's a kid, and it's just, well, of course this has got to be controlled by the Court of Owls because there's owls all over the goddamn place,
Mm-hmm.
like wooden owls, carved owls, stuffed owls. And he goes into this secret meeting place, which is one of the things about the court. Like apparently there's like secret rooms in all these old buildings in Gotham, and there looks like
Most of them are in Wayne buildings.
yeah, that too. And then he goes in and he sees there's you don't get it right away in that first shot of the court sitting at this long table, but then you look and you see that they've all been poisoned, they're all dead.
Yeah. We got to go back a page because I love the way Capelou and Glapion colored this for the coloring and the art here. Is how he kicks the door in, and then how he enters with the debris. It looks really smoky, and oh my god, that is such a badass image of Batman.
Oh yeah, like just with the dust swirling about and all that.
Mm-hmm.
And you see him, he's just like, "F you, stuffed owl." Like you see that he's like really PO'd. Because I mean, just like I know you're mad all the time, Batman, but what did that stuffed owl ever do to you? Because he straight up just breaks that thing, and then he, goes upstairs. He finds the dead bodies and everything, and he's like, "Damn you!" And he goes to the next day, and he's reverted to
Bruce.
Well, Batmope. Because he's sitting there, the sun's rising, and he's like, "Son of a bitch got away from me," And he's all contemplative and brooding and whatnot, and he's trying to figure it out. And then he starts rolling. He's using Alfred as a sounding board as he's working all this stuff out. It doesn't make sense, and why would they just kill themselves like that?
Oh, it makes sense now.
Yeah, because he looks at a picture of his mom and dad, and then all of a sudden it all clicks. And he goes to the morgue, and well, there's a body missing, and Lincoln March isn't there anymore. And he goes to like this. He goes to the old home for kids, and
Willowwood Home for Children. Yep.
And just basically talking about how this is like hell on earth for kids with like neurological disorders and such. And he basically walks in on Lincoln March. He's come back as a Talon, more or less. He's got the zombie juice in him.
Technically, he's no longer Lincoln March. He's Thomas Wayne Jr. Dun dun dun.
Which, yeah, and in the pre-crisis, like somewhere between the late 50s and the early 70s, Thomas Wayne Jr. was in the Batman comics, and he was Batman's brother, but he was like basically messed up in the head. He was in a mental hospital, and there were a couple of stories I remember reading about that this was an actual character, but it's one of the many, many things that got wiped right off the slate when Crisis happened. But I mean, Snyder's using it to good effect here. They have this great back and forth as, and I'm just going to call him March, because at least to give him a name, because Thomas Wayne Jr., I don't think so. But, March is like egging Batman along. You got to find the truth in the lie, and the lie in the truth. And, he's like, keeps egging him along to the reveal that, I'm Thomas Wayne Jr., your brother that never was, from the other side of the mirror. You just, he's gone full on cackling supervillain at this point. I mean, and I guess a little bit of tech envy, because he's got like this super Talon battle suit that was supposed to be made to badass enough to take out Batman, and it's basically he's gonna kill Batman, and he's gonna wait a while and come back as like, I'm Thomas Wayne Jr., I own everything now. And it ends on one of those great kind of action shots where they're charging towards each other. And
no, I mean, Capello, Albuquerque, all the people that work on this book for the art, simply amazing. That Court of Owls suit, or the Talon suit that March is wearing, oh my god. that's just awesome.
It does look very badass. I mean, you got like, the owl kind of face right in the chest, and then all the ribbing and everything coming off of it, and
Yeah.
he's got spikes everywhere. You can see he's got like a shredder claw in one hand with the two blades popped out like that.
Maybe all that metal's for making coleslaw. Um,
Well, everyone,
now,
all the ladies do love a sharp dressed man.
wow. Okay. Let me ask you now. I know Owl Man is a different character, but I gotta tell you, this last page when he says, brother to brother, owl to bat, I really like. This is Snyder's own version of an Owl Man.
Yeah.
I think.
Well, I mean, it's obvious that it's what he's going for there with the design, but I mean, not specifically such. But I mean, that's part of the thing about Owlman that in was it Earth? I think it's Earth 3 and the greater DC multiverses. In Earth 3, where all the heroes are villains and the villains are heroes, like there's Ultraman and Superwoman and Owlman.
Yeah.
And in that universe, Owlman is Thomas Wayne Jr.
Oh yeah, that's true.
So,
yeah.
And then it goes back to, Thomas, this guy claiming to be Batman's long-lost brother. And then you go to, chapter 11, or sorry, issue 11 here. And I love just I actually ended up buying the regular cover because the combo pack that I got with issue 11 had a different cover.
Mm-hmm.
But I bought the regular cover because I just thought it looked badass. It's like Batman there with his hands out to the side, and it looks like he's walking through flames, and some of the flames look like bats.
Yep.
And I thought that just looked badass.
Yeah. Now this one. Now see, here's where in the trade. Here's where they put My Brother's Keeper, which is the main story. Here's where they put the House of Wayne.
Yeah, or the Fall of House of Wayne.
No, the Fall of the House of Wayne.
Where, yeah, you see that the court is trying to use Alfred's dad to get Martha into place in their Machiavellian chess scheme, and he's like, and as much as, like, I wouldn't say Alfred was very concerned for Bruce, and that, like I said, I don't want to call him a pussy, but he's kind of acting like one. But his dad, like, and again, I'm not knocking Alfred. I don't mean to knock Alfred's dad, but the dude pussed out. He basically gets one threatening phone call, and he's ready to throw Martha Wayne to the goddamn wolves.
Yeah. Now, what I will say that I find interesting now, I know we still have yet to go through the main story here, but with the Fall of the House of Wayne or whatever there, because I'm so confused because well, I'm not confused. I keep getting mixed up because the more recent story of Batman Beyond 2.0 Chapter 19, the title of it is Ruins of Wayne, of the Ruins of Wayne. So. Yeah. What is so irksome to me about this story, even though it says years ago, the whole time we've been talking about this, since this last issue, before we get to the one we're on now, I've been trying to figure out, not necessarily how old Batman is, but when his actual birth date was, because the story for the Fall of House of Wayne seems to me like it was back in the 1800s. I know Alfred isn't that damn old.
Well, that's kind of a credit to, Albuquerque's art, I think.
Yeah.
Just because it has that very aged look to it.
Yeah. I mean, I'd probably say, if you're just going off the fact that Finger and Kane, and yes, I intentionally put Finger first. Wow, that sounds so wrong. Finger and Kane, had him debut in 1939. Even if you want to say that still means that right now, Batman is 75 years. Batman is basically Dark Knight Returns. But at this point, I'm trying to figure out where in this story that this would have actually taken place. I just don't know. Like, what
Like the fall
What
of House of
era?
Wayne, you mean?
Yeah, like what
It
era is it?
it's
I would have rather
basically
them.
within a year or two before Thomas and Martha get gunned down. Because Bruce is about 5-6 years old, around
Mhm.
which is the age around the time that his parents died. So it's around that time, I think.
Yeah,
So
yeah, you're right. You're right. I wish instead of saying years ago, they would have said X number of years ago. This, or a year before the death of the Waynes, or something other than just a vague. Because it's not just Albuquerque's art in this. It's the fact of it looks like what I've seen in like something like Gates of Gotham, where Gates of Gotham actually was the 1800s with Alan Wayne, with his great grandfather or great however many damn greats grandfather Bruce Wayne's grandfather was, I forget.
pretty
You
great, I'd
know,
imagine.
yeah, but yeah, I mean that's kind of where you know where I thought it would be. I mean, overall, the final chapter here for Court of Owls, I really loved it. I love the art. I love the story. I love the house, the Fall of the House of Wayne. But there's what is it? Is it the annual? What is it here? I'm trying to think. Yeah, it's the annual that kind of trips me up. It really does. Um, it just I
Well,
don't
when
know.
we
There's
get into it there,
yeah.
because I mean, basically, this issue, you know,
Hmm.
issue 11 opens with the March and Bruce fighting. And I like, Bruce's story. You're not my brother. You're a lunatic in a bird suit. And I was done playing nice a long time ago. And then it's like the whole time, like March is just taking these punches. He turns it. Is it my turn now? Okay. And then you see them like the suit's probably like augmented in some way, in addition to the extra juice the zombie serum gives the Talons. Because he basically
Hmm.
punches Bruce through like 3 or 4 walls, through a solid brick wall, and then Bruce tries to hits him with the what do you call it, the zip line, and they fall. And then you see the suit can fly, and basically March flies off in the city, and there tells him like everything that, or not tells him everything, but he basically shows all these points of interest to him, to Batman. He's throwing Batman into him, and he gets into all this mirror analogies, and he's basically showing him all these places that he's going to wipe off the map. As you realize, he's maybe not going to wipe these off. He just starts to go mad because as you read, as they go past this church and he throws Batman into the bell, you just see the dialogue, and March just gets increasingly more and more insane. And he tries to end Batman by throwing him into the jet engine of a 747,
Hmm.
where
It's crazy. It really is.
yeah, and then he's standing there. It's like your brother's watching over you, just like always. And then he tells him basically how what he's gonna do, and I love how Batman is like, you should watch your own. Or Mark says you should watch your own back, and Batman's like, good advice. And you see somewhere in the fight that he tagged him with a small explosive
Hmm.
that I thought was going to be meant to like drive March into the jet engine.
Yeah.
Not so much luck. And I guess his zip line is like voice controlled or something, because he goes into free fall. Batman, because they blows March up and he jumps off the plane and he says, "Switch to high velocity bat rope now." And I guess, and he basically, part of the story, this has kind of been from the beginning of Batman. This is only the first year of the New 52, folks. Bruce Wayne's got this Renew Gotham initiative, and he's building like this new, like there's Old Wayne Tower, which is the design they had from
From the 1800s, yeah.
well, the 1800s, but it's the Wayne Tower that we had in like the pre-52, the real DC, in my opinion. Uh, with the gargoyles and everything, and it looks all kind of old and kind of steampunky kind of thing. But he's building this new modern Wayne Tower skyscraper, and he crash lands in there, and March shows up, and he's got this place. It looks like he's stuffed like giant wads of bubble gum all over the place with microcams. I mean, it's plastic explosives, but it looks like giant wads of bubble gum. And he's going to blow this all up, and take Batman with him, and then he'll dig himself out of the rubble and return as Thomas Wayne Jr. and take over everything. And Batman pretty much stabs his eyes out with his own thumbs.
Yeah, pretty much.
And then he runs.
I gotta say though, the fact that I know the mask on Wayne Jr. is is supposed to be the owl mask from the Comic-Con thing that actually came with the mask set. I get it. I don't, as much as I love Capello's art and Albuquerque's art and Glapion's colors and everything else, I don't like that the mask on the Talon came up to then show another kind of mask, and then March's.
He's got like a cowl, and then he's got those goggles.
Yeah, it's like, hey, let me steam this punk for you. It's too weird. And don't get me wrong, folks, I don't dislike steampunk, but it is like when that mask is up on that page where he's like, well, this time I'll make sure, that Bruce stays dead. It looks too weird to me.
Yeah. I wouldn't necessarily call it steampunk, but yeah, it's a little, kind of, what do you call it, disconcerting sort of thing.
Yeah.
So, and well, I just love how he blows up. He basically, it's like controlled detonation. Like he levels the building in its own footprint. Mm-hmm. And you see Batman running, and he gets out, and you see the whole tower. Batman's narration is the whole tower was destroyed to the foundation. I guess other authorities dug through the rubble, but he went through there. He didn't find March's body. And even you see Dick there, and he's basically ready. He's like, well, I'm planning on punching you. And it's basically, it's like, you punch me, I punch you. We solid, bro? Okay, cool. Because basically Dick wants a shot at Batman for the sucker punch where he knocked his tooth out. And I know I've had this discussion with some friends online and at the store that, a lot of people are like, Dick should let it go. And I was like, it's like bro code. He gets one back.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, but you see Bruce is like brooding over the model of the city again, and he makes mention he's gonna keep on with this initiative. He's gonna rebuild the tower again. That's like another $1 billion. He went to all the locations that he's aware of. Like he went back to the labyrinth that he'd been trapped in. Couldn't find any evidence there. You see the captured Talons. They've built a cryo prison in Blackgate. Wayne funded, of course. And, see all the other Talons are there. And even Bruce, like he gives Dick the story of how he knows he had a brother, and basically he was born with like severe brain damage, and he basically lived for a night. Mm-hmm. And that was it. And he's like, as far as he thinks, I did have a brother for that brief moment, but then but what if he survived? What if your parents, lied to you? And even Bruce admits that, it could be possible that maybe that really was his brother, but, without DNA. And I think that's one of the best question marks that hangs over the Court of Owls story, like, thus far, because, you still got Strix and Birds of Prey, you got the Talon ongoing. Eventually they're going to come back. The court's going to make another move against Batman. But that's like the one unresolved plot thread that I look forward to seeing what they do with it in the future, is whether or not they bring back March and, It could be like in the pre 52 where they had Hush had Bruce Wayne's face, and he tried to take over Wayne Enterprises and claim I'm the real Bruce Wayne, and he tried to shut Batman out in the cold and all that. So it's a mystery that I look forward to them coming back to in the future.
Yeah. And then it ends with "I'll be watching always." Now I do like that with him, with basically showing Gotham City within his iris. I think that's absolutely amazing.
And the fact that he's got like the special bat, what do you call him?
Contact lens.
Yeah, because you see like the little bits on the periphery of his iris. You see like the little bits of circuitry in that. But yeah, it's an absolutely beautiful shot of like Gotham City, and you see the bat signal in the sky, and Batman will always be there. And we go to the conclusion, at least in my issue, you get the conclusion of the House of Wayne, where Alfred's dad, did absolutely nothing the way the court said, and they've sent the Talon to take him out. And unfortunately,
yeah, see that's the thing between the single issues and the trades. In the singles, it was broken up as the one shots. Here in the trade, instead of having the one shots after each each of the three issues, it has it as all one story.
Oh yeah, and they have at the end here, like it's post Court of Owls, and I guess they're talking about, I guess they found some evidence to the that how Jarvis, you see on his gravestone there, Jarvis Pennyworth was, however it was involved. And it's a really nice kind of denouement, like, epilogue to the story, that they're healing.
Yeah.
They're moving on. Alfred's like, whatever misdeeds my father, it's, whatever, it basically says whatever misdeeds his dad perpetrated against Bruce's family, he more than made up for him in the end. Because he tried to, at least tried to warn Alfred about what has happened. So, I mean, that's the end of issue 11. Your trade has issue 12 and the annual, right?
My trade has, well, I thought issue 12 was the end. I'll be watching always. And then my trade goes to Alfred's story. And then after Alfred's story, it goes to Ghost in the Machine.
Yeah, the Ghost in the Machine is issue 12, which it's not a huge... I mean, just to briefly summarize it, there's this girl named Harper and her brother Cullen living in, Gotham, and it's kind of one of those slices of life stories. How are people in Gotham affected by Batman sort of thing? Because you see Harper, she got this special invite to go to a party at Wayne Mansion. It has to do with the Renew Gotham thing, and basically she's like lower class like that, so she's piling like some of the free food into her backpack, and Alfred comes up and he's like, well, you can't leave the dessert table without tasting the brownies. and right here, the art on this issue is done by, just let me quick flip back here. Art's done by, there's Becky Cloonan and Andy Clark, and Becky Cloonan's doing the art for the first half of the story, basically. I love the way she portrayed Alfred here. Like, this is Batman TAS Alfred. Like, you can hear Ephraim's voice, Ephraim Zimbalist Jr., coming out of this. It's got some very smooth thing. You even almost get that sly wink and a nod where she's like, I just need to find the door. And he's like, oh, right this way. And, they have a nice little conversation about, what's going on and about Bruce and all that. And she goes home and she finds Cullen has been beat up because apparently Cullen's gay, we find out. And no one really does anything because they're in that part of Gotham where everyone just minds their own business. Like, you see what happened. He got attacked, the back of his head was shaved, and they wrote, well, I'm not going to say it out loud because it's really, I find it to be a very offensive term. I'm not gay, but I mean, just really, they thought that was a good idea. So,
well, there's not a lot of things that DC has done for good ideas lately. Yeah. So, The fact that this is the beginning of the New 52, that doesn't surprise me at all that they would
Yeah, I like
do
this.
that.
They're you see Harper's kind of a tech head, and she's got this job working for the city because they're out walking one night, and the guys that assaulted Cullen come up, and she's built a taser. Who
Yeah.
I think this thing's got to be at least 30 or 40,000 volts because she tags this douchebag Jimmy Olsen clone at once, and he's on the floor twitching. I mean, hardcore twitching, and then the rest of them are gonna assault him, and Batman drops in and basically touch them again, and I'll hurt you. Yes, sir. Like that sort of reaction. Then Harper's got like this new obsession of like finding Batman, helping Batman. She finds a bat box, which is something Batman's built into the power grid to prop it up and help it in times of crisis and all that, which is, I think that's a subtle clue to the events that happen in Year Zero. The online, like, it's the new Year One, but it's not done by Miller. And basically she kind of sort of helps Batman, and Batman's like, sure you did. And so he's got like this network of supporters, I guess, starting with this character. And at the end of it, you say it's the zero issue, because basically it goes issue 12, then there's zero issues, which are basically Year One and or origin stories for a lot of DC characters, which was a lot of fun. And then you get the annual, which basically is
Batman and Mr. Freeze, Sub-Zero, First Snow.
I feel a rant coming on, but all I'm going to say, in rant-wise, is how could you fuck Mr. Freeze up like this?
Oh boy. All right, well, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a quick break so JC can collect his thoughts,
No,
and then
I'm
we'll
good.
come
I'm
back
good.
and we'll come back and we'll kind of go through as to why he believes they fucked up Mr. Freeze. We'll be back after this.
Oh my gosh, this is so great.
The Iceman cometh.
Oh, God. I would sooner take the Arnold Schwarzenegger dressed like a shiny hood ornament Mr. Freeze than the hipster mohawk wearing douche that we've got in the New 52.
Take 2 of these and call me in the morning.
Even that. And we'll get into it in the story here, but
I will say really quick before we get into the story, really quick, the cover. I love the cover because it has everything that ties into the storyline of Court of Owls, because it does have birds, it does have owls flying around, and it has Batman on a rooftop, and it has the shadow of Mr. Freeze with his red goggles. I absolutely love that. I'm really glad they threw that hot rod red in there for his goggles.
Oh yeah. No, that's it is a good cover. I will say that. But we get in here and it's
he's from Nebraska.
Nebraska. I do like the origin of his obsession with freezing, in that his Mr. Freeze is being interviewed by a psychologist in was it Blackgate? Because I don't think they, in the New 52, they have. No, it's Arkham Asylum. Okay, it's so basically he's getting like a psychological analysis by the shrink, and he kills the guy pretty. I don't want to say brutally, or graphically. It's just straight up just grabs the guy, snaps his neck, starts working on the coolant system to his cage, and effectively turns the AC in Arkham Asylum into a giant-ass freeze gun.
Yeah. I'll say about his design what I don't like. What I don't like is the goddamn mohawk. That's fucking stupid.
Mohawk or something. Like, why can't you just be like every other cold-based supervillain? Your hair freezes, it falls out, and you're bald.
See, here's the problem I have with the whole cell scene here, where the guy says, "All right, Victor, what do you want to talk about?" Time. Like, the background of the cell. Like, to me, when I see Mr. Freeze and he has to be kept in a certain cooled, okay, sure, BTAS, he was in a cell in Heart of Ice, but we're really kind of comparing as Batman and Robin's Mr. Freeze is the better of these two evils.
I, I,
Um,
I wouldn't say he's the better. I'm just saying his origin, which we'll get into in this story, is the B and R version of Mister Freeze is better than in his origin is better than this one's origin, and it's it's when we get to it, it's I will say exactly what I think, and with as few swears as possible. But yeah, it's he. I do like the design. Like you see, so you see the cold mist coming off the floor. You see the icicles sticking down. It's not as over the top comical as you would think Mister Freeze's cell would be. Like you know it's damn cold in there. But I love the part where he freezes the guards with this giant hose of coolant, and then he takes a slurp off of it like it's a garden hose. You know, and he goes on, and apparently he's inhaled a bunch of this stuff because he just spits it out and freezes the next set of guards, and then he breaks into like the weapons locker, you know, takes his suit back. And you see the god.
the suit is awesome. I will say
Oh
that
no,
the suit does.
yeah, no, the suit is good. I do like the fact that you know it's got elements of the Batman TAS Mister Freeze suit, like especially with like the mason jar on top of his head like that. And you know, then he's got his arms exposed, which to me at least is kind of evocative of the Batman's Mister Freeze. You know,
Okay, yeah.
where he's like half Iceman and he's basically in a giant, almost a mech suit of sorts, where he's got mutant ice powers, and somehow getting mutant ice powers made him like this brilliant engineer because he was just a jewel thief before, and I'm kind of getting off topic. Even that origin is better than this one.
You just turned Mr. Freeze into Bobby Drake of the X-Men.
Well, that's what he was in the Batman. You really can't deny that. But yeah, well, that's what the Batman was. I mean, he just gestured with his. There was no ice ray. But
see, that's the thing. Like, okay, sure, I get it. Batman doesn't. He abhors guns for what happened to his parents, and technically, a freeze gun isn't. It's a gun, but it's not a gun that fires bullets. And that was one of the coolest things about BTAS was you had Mr. Freeze in this really awesome suit, and you had him with his freeze gun, and every time they would do the freeze effect, like at the camera, it swirled out of the gun. That was awesome. And not having a freeze gun takes about 7 points off the Batman, or as Ben usually puts it, the crap man.
there's a lot. There's a lot I liked about that series beyond certain things.
Yeah.
But no, I know what you're saying. So we got Mr. Freeze breaks into the Iceberg Lounge, and I like the fact that they kept this element of the Penguin, that he's more of this criminal mastermind. You know, he's got like the public facade of being a nightclub owner, and I love the design. Like it's classic Oswald Cobblepot. You know, top hat, monocle, cigarette holder.
This is pretty much the design of Cobblepot here is pretty much you know, they're kind of not okay. It doesn't have the likeness of a certain Meredith, but it's very much Burgess Meredith Penguin for the New 52 as far as the design and the style. I mean, granted, it doesn't have it, you know, his actual facial features, but I like the homage. Now, let me ask you though, since we're talking about the damn Penguin. And I know penguins live at the South Pole, okay?
Mm-hmm.
They, you know, I get that, and they, you know, live in freezing cold temperatures, and they're around ice and all that stuff, but it's always not really confused me, but it's always been like, kind of like a what the kind of moment, because you would think the Iceberg Lounge, that would be something that Mr. Freeze would do.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's actually in an iceberg, but yeah, I know what you're saying. That you think Mr. Freeze.
The whole motif of the ice and everything else, it just doesn't, when I see the penguin, regardless of what version it is, it always just screams, "Hey, let's go get in my giant duckmobile." Yeah.
Oh, who didn't want to take a ride in that?
I know, right?
But no, it's I do like the Iceberg Lounge. Like as far as a set piece for being Penguin's front and all that, it makes a lot of sense. And I love the fact that basically Mr. Freeze just busted in here because, Penguin controls the black market, so of course he has Mr. Freeze's gun.
Mm-hmm.
And I will admit the ice gun here, it does look pretty badass.
Mm-hmm.
And you see how cold that the Penguin can be, where he's like, make the robbery look real, okay? I don't want to be persecuted on your behalf. So he basically sacrifices his minions, and we get
Oh, that's what minions are for. I mean, Gru has enough of them.
yeah, and then we get into the origin proper,
Oh boy, here we go.
and
The origin proper. What's wrong?
it's not his actual wife. Like, I understand one of the greatest things about Mr. Freeze, and this is something they adopted into the DC Comics proper after a while, after Batman TAS came out, is that Mr. Freeze was trying to save his wife. He developed this cryonic technology, douchebag executive, wrecked some shit, and now he's got to live in sub-zero temperatures, and his wife is still... In the cartoon, his wife survived and was eventually cured of her condition. In the comic books, she was killed in a fight between Batman and Mr. Freeze by Mr. Freeze himself, but his mind snapped and he blamed Batman for the death. And, that was a great, powerful, motivating force. But basically here, this Nora that he's obsessed with is a woman that's been on ice for, like, years. They've never met.
I see.
He's basically because of what happened with his mother. Because you see in the beginning where she falls through the ice, and that's where his obsession with ice began.
Mm-hmm.
And it's basically like this really reverse Florence Nightingale thing where he falls in love with her, and she's become this all-consuming obsession. Somewhere his mind ticked over, oh, it's my wife. I'm going to save my wife. And I'm not saying it's not any less a powerful motivating force, but the fact that this guy is basically a jacked up stalker. Mm-hmm. And just like, no. And even here you see any blame that he casts on anybody else for his condition or what happened to Nora is entirely his own fault, because Bruce Wayne comes in and like, look, I don't like what's going on here. You haven't produced any useful results. I've called the cops. So what does Victor do? He throws a chair at Batman, which hits a tank of super coolant, and that's where he gets mutated, basically.
Yeah. I threw a chair at him. It doesn't sound as cool as I threw a rock at him.
It was a big chair.
It was a big rock.
Yeah, and then you see...
What I love about this story, though, is, really quickly, what I love is how Nightwing and Robin are the two that find out about all this stuff and confront him. And I've said this before many times. This podcast has been going on for over numbered episodes. We're at 77 at this point, but in total we're probably over 100 episodes altogether between After Darks and Origins and Back Issue Classics and all that stuff. Since I've been reading comics, I will never not loathe Damian Wayne, but what I like about his being in the New 52 is that, and I will defend this till the day I die, Bruce Wayne, while he might be his biological father, emotionally could give a shit less about Damian unless the kid dies, which he did. But every time that I see Nightwing and Robin, hanging out or doing hero work, Dick Grayson is more of a father to Damian than Bruce ever will be.
Well,
He really, really is.
I won't disagree with you at all there. However, if you think you hate Damian Wayne in the comics, wait till you watch Son of Batman.
Oh
Because
God,
I
don't
can
remind
guarantee
me.
you will love Damian in the comics after that.
I don't know.
But yeah, so I mean, Nightwing and Robin have a little, you know, go kerfluffle with Mister Freeze, and he goes on upstairs to get revenge on Bruce Wayne. You know,
Mhm.
we get the origin. You see him waking up. They tell him like, you know, it's you gotta be in this suit all the time. And
Mhm.
Batman is not above playing dirty because he pulls Nora out of cold storage and has her just sitting there in his office, and then he swings in through the window and causes like another 3 or 4 grand in property damage because I can afford it.
All right, now I've been meaning to bring this up. Okay, everybody since Man of Steel came out, everyone always complains. Oh, property damage. Oh, innocent bystanders. Oh, this. Oh, that. Oh my God, Superman didn't save all those fucking people when he was going after Zod. Every single superhero, robot,
Oh, there's always
fucking
property
Godzilla.
damage.
There's always property damage. There's always going to be someone who might get injured or killed. Not intent. I mean, it's not like Superman is intentionally going over there to, kill that person. It just, oh my God, I am really so sick of everybody complaining about property damage. And don't get me wrong, ladies and gentlemen, I nitpick the fuck out of everything. I really do. But
No.
shut up, fucking Canadian. I nitpick the hell out of everything. Don't get me wrong. I will and I do. But shut up about the goddamn property damage and innocent bystanders and everything else. Superheroes and giant robots and fucking Godzilla can't protect everybody.
Well, I
Okay,
wouldn't say I would. Well, see, we both got a rant this episode.
there you
Yeah,
go.
I
Continue.
wouldn't necessarily say Godzilla protects anybody but Godzilla, but vis-a-vis, I do like. I'm just saying the 4 grand product because like A, Batman can afford it. B, it looked cool, and C, I just did it for somewhat comedic effect. But I love where he's facing off with Freeze here. And you see Freeze has a freeze gun. Batman has branding irons attached to his gauntlets because he's straight up just like if you see it, like it's hot enough he could probably you know brand a cow or something with those things. That he just basically that would be the most effective tool against Mister Freeze.
The whole time we've been reviewing this trade, these issues, it, just make Batman a goddamn iron suit without guns, please. Just fucking make a black and silver Iron Man suit. Make the fucking space suit for Bruce Wayne for, Iron Batman or whatever the hell. Because, holy crap, we've had more Iron Man references in this entire podcast than the entire lifespan of the pull bag. It's
Yeah,
partially my fault, but anyway.
yeah, and I like that. Like Batman gets frozen, the gauntlets burn him out. He calls Mister Freeze on his bullshit, and this is Nora Field. She was born in 1943. She's old enough to be his grandmother, and yeah, see, that's why one of my all-time favorite villains is Mr. At least from the Batman TS is the way they did Mr. Freeze. Like, you can't help but whatever Mr. Freeze does is almost justified.
Mm-hmm.
Almost.
Yeah, see, here's the problem with this whole thing. If he's older than she, like, and I don't mean if he's a year older than she is or whatever else, but if all this stuff happened with his mother when he was a young boy and he's, say, 50, 60 years old and this Nora is, say, 20 something, I I don't know. I'm not sitting here going to make a commentary on how old people should be to be in a relationship, but there are certain limits. At least in my mind. I mean, you want to look at, may she rest in peace, but you want to look at Anna Nicole and the whole scandal with her and the 80-something-year-old way back when. That creeps me the hell out. Like, sure. I would say for me personally, a 5 to 6, maybe 7 year age difference either way is fine. But anything more than 10 or 11 years difference between two people is a little.
Yeah, like I'll agree that's kind of creepy, but like I said, it's not the age difference in the story. It's just the fact that he's basically
It's
this
a creepy stalker.
Yeah, and that takes away from, like, even in the pre-52 uh, continuity with Mr. Freeze, like he was still, he was more of a supervillain overall than he just had, trying to complete his research or freeze the entire world or whatever he really wanted to do. But even that, and I mean, at one point he sold his soul to DC's Mephisto for increased power. There's an entire
Are
storyline
you.
there. I'll tell you about
Wait,
it
wait,
off
wait.
air.
No, 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 no. I don't have time for that today, but you're telling me DC also has Mephisto, so you're telling me that both DC and Marvel
They have
are gonna make Ghost Riding people?
no, no, not like that. And Mephisto's not really tied into Ghost Rider at all. They had a character in the previous continuity called Neron. He's basically a devil who basically tries to corrupt souls and acquire, once he makes the deal and he can take their souls and increase his own power. And they had this huge crossover called Underworld Unleashed, where a lot of villains that, in order to, improve them for the 90s sort of thing, they made deals with the devil. So Killer Moth went from being Killer Moth to this horrible, it basically became Jeff Goldblum from The Fly sort of character called Chiraxis, where he's like this giant mutated man bug. Or there were characters like the Trickster who sold his soul and became like, instead of being the short and fat joke that he was, became like, young and svelte, and his intelligence was somewhat increased so he could act on all these perverse tricks. Or there were characters just like Lex Luthor who just pretty much sold his soul for well, actually, that actually benefited him in the long run, because at that point, Lex Luthor was like a withered old shell of himself after pretending to be his own son, and Mr. Freeze just basically got an upgrade to his equipment and his powers, and it was a '90s crossover. I don't even think they remembered that happened half the time afterwards. So it's even that Mr. Freeze was still, I think, a better character than Creepy Stalker Man.
Yeah, and basically this ends with the flashing back to his mother. You know, how I love the first snow, unbroken and white. And we flash back to his mom, and apparently she wants to be a member of the Genius Bar because they have an apple, and I assume she carves it into her hand.
I think, yeah, she cut. I don't know. She just cut bloody circles in her hand, or she actually cut those, cut the flesh off her hand or something. And,
yeah.
And then you see that, well, Victor was never right in his head, because I don't care if it's a mercy killing or not.
He killed his mom.
Yeah, he kicked his mom back into the ice. I was just like, yeah.
No. All right, really quickly. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
I'm just saying, just screw you, Mr. Freeze.
Yeah, that's a little... All right, really quickly before we do ratings and final thoughts, got to go over the variant cover gallery here in the trade. Batman 8 by Jason Fabok and Peter Steigerwald. Batman 9 by Dale Keown and FCO Placina. Batman 10 by Raphael Albuquerque. 11 is by Andy Clark and Tamu More. And 12 is by Brian Hitch and Nathan Fairbairn, I think is how you say his name. I love these covers. I think they're really cool. I think my favorite one is probably Batman with all the black and white one.
Yeah, where it's just the silhouette of the armored suit and all that.
Well, it's him. It shows his face, but it's him with the it's him with the owl masks all broken up.
Yeah. Oh, that one. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the one I like.
Talking about the silhouette one with the Batbot helmet and the
Oh, no. I do like that one, but no. Overall, for me, I love the Court of Owls storyline, both Volume 1 and here in Volume 2. I thought it was great. I thought it was a nice little twist with the whole Lincoln March's Thomas Wayne, or supposedly
Yeah.
Thomas Wayne. So far, out of the Batman stuff, I know coming up next we'll have a very brief discussion on Death of the Family with myself, Steve Megatron, and Jeremy Fine from Hunnick Outcast Podcast. But so far, Court of Owls, out of the main Batman title, is pretty much the story to read, in my opinion. If you're Joker fans, read Death of the Family. But as the Joker said in Return of the Joker, it's sadly anticlimactic. It really, really is. And then Zero Year, we will discuss that way past this Batman spotlight for 75 years, because
We'll get to it eventually.
Yep. Final rating for me, I'm going to give this 4 to 5 stars, which is really liked it on the GCRN rating scale. There were times where I kind of got lost in the story. Not necessarily saying that I didn't understand it, but it just kind of... There were times when I originally read it, I don't know, about a week before we did the recording, I was like, oh, come on, speed up. And then by the time where Bruce figures out what's going on, like when he figured, oh, it is where it's always been, that's when I really got excited.
Oh, yeah.
What about you for rating?
Yeah, I'm going to give it like the solid 4 as well. Like, overall, I love the entire story from Volume 1, Volume 2. It's perfectly set up this new... It's one of the few things in... Oh my god! A positive note about the New 52. It's one of the few things that I really do dig that they've done for Batman in the New 52 in terms of like a new villainous threat. That there's like this secret society out there that's like not only... It's something that can expand to the rest of the heroes in the DC New 52. So, it's a great setup. It was a great story. I like the fact that they got, the zombie foot soldiers and the Talons, which is like, and like Batman says, for once I can play it rough. He can cut loose.
Yep.
And I'm not
kind of reminds me of Superman's speech in Destroyer.
Oh yeah, it's the entire world's made out of cardboard. Which, you know what?
Yeah.
As I still prefer Tim Daly as the voice of Superman, but George Newbern, like, oh dude, like it's neck and neck. But I like I said, I just prefer I love Tim Daly's version, but George Newbern made it his own over the run in the Italian series. Don't get me wrong, it's just
That's an argument for another day. So here inside the Batman 75th Anniversary Spectacular, up next we're going to wrap it up with Death of the Family. Where can people find you online, sir?
They can find me on Twitter at JT from Saskatoon.
You can also follow at Geekcast Radio for all the other network updates, and I am at TFG1 Mike. Until next time, make your great escape into comics.
You've just heard the latest episode of The Pullback, the GCRN's comic review and discussion podcast. There are several ways to get in touch with us and leave feedback for the show. You can visit the website, geekcastradio.com, where you can comment on the episode and all of our different podcasts. You can rate our show on iTunes. Be sure to leave us feedback. Call the voicemail line, 502-526-5821. Please remember to tell us the show you are leaving the message for, and your name. Become a fan of us on Facebook by searching Geekcast Radio Network. Send us an email feedback at geekcastradio.com. Follow us on Twitter at Geekcast Radio. So until next time, make your great escape into comics and unleash the geek in you.